Have you ever gotten that feeling that the news isn't just telling you what happened, but also kind of nudging you on how to feel about it? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden forces that shape the stories we see every single day. And we're going to use the really powerful ideas from Hussein Al-Ahmad's book, Media and Power, as our guide.
Just think about any major event you've been following. Ever flip the channel and feel like you've entered a parallel universe, where the same event is being reported in two totally different ways? You are not imagining things. And that feeling points to a really fundamental question about what the news actually is.
You know, we're often told to think of the media as a simple mirror, just passively reflecting the world as it is. But what Al-Ahmad's work argues is that this is a total myth. In reality, the media is something much more powerful. It's an engine that doesn't just report on events, it actively helps shape our political and social world.
So first things first, let's really tackle this assumption head-on. This idea that the media is just a neutral fly on the wall. We're going to call it the media mirror myth.
This quote, highlighted in the book, just gets right to the heart of the problem. You've got journalistic ethics on one shoulder, saying, just tell the story as it happened. But on the other shoulder, you've got all these powerful social, economic, and political forces whispering, no, tell it the way we want it told. Reporters are constantly caught in this tug-of-war, trying to do their jobs while being pulled in a dozen different directions. Okay, so if the media isn't a mirror, what is it? And how does this powerful engine actually work? To really get our heads around that, we need a new framework, a core theory that Al-Ahmad's book brings to the forefront.
And that lens is a theory called mediatization. Now, Al-Ahmad's work is so important because it introduces this major Western concept to an Arabic-speaking audience, translating it as al-alama. He argues that this is the absolute key to understanding the media's deep and often invisible influence on our society, especially on politics.
So what on earth is mediatization? Well, in a nutshell, it's this long-term process where the media just changes. It stops being a simple messenger and becomes its own powerful, independent force. It creates its own rules, its own priorities, what academics call media logic, and pretty soon, other huge institutions, like politics, realize they have to start playing by the media's rules if they want anyone to pay attention.
And this doesn't happen overnight. The scholar Jesper Strumbach breaks it down into 4 stages. First, the media becomes pretty much the only way we get our information. Then, and this is crucial, it starts to break free from political control. That's when media logic, what makes a story juicy, dramatic, and simple, starts to win out over political logic, which is often complex and, let's be honest, kind of boring. By the final stage, the whole game is flipped. Politicians now have to package their ideas according to media logic just to get on the air.
You can see this power shift perfectly in Strumbach's model. These diagrams, shown in Arabic in the original book, map out the whole progression. You can see how communication starts out more direct, but over time, it becomes completely filtered through the media. By the end of this process, media logic is totally in the driver's seat, changing the very way politics works. It's a slow-motion takeover.
But here's the critical twist, and this is a big one. This entire theory was built by studying Western liberal democracies. So Al-Ahmad's book makes us ask a really important question. What happens when you take this theory and apply it to a completely different political system?
Well, the rules of the game change completely. In a democracy, we hope the media is an independent watchdog. Its own media logic is often fighting against political logic. But in many authoritarian systems, the media isn't a referee, it's a weapon for the people in charge. Its goal isn't to inform you, it's to get you on board, to control the story. In that world, political logic completely crushes media logic. The media serves power. It doesn't question it.
And this is the point that really drives it home. In these systems, mediatization doesn't create an independent media. Instead, the media gets co-opted. As the book puts it, it becomes a primary tool for the rulers, a way to manage conflicts, make themselves look legitimate, and basically control the entire public conversation. Now, to make this less abstract, the book applies this new understanding of mediatization to a very real and complex case study, the internal Palestinian political conflict that really blew up in the mid-2000s. So what was the situation on the ground? Well, it all kicked off in 2006, after Hamas won the legislative elections. This created a huge power struggle with the ruling party Fatah. Over the next year or so, those political tensions erupted into actual fighting, which ended up splitting the government into 2, with one authority in Gaza and another in the West Bank. This diagram from the book perfectly illustrates the media's role in all of this. On the left side, you see the media's toolkit, things like framing, which is about how you choose to tell a story,
and agenda setting, which is about choosing which stories get told in the first place. And on the right, you see the goals: create polarization, demonize the other side, and win over the public. The media wasn't just reporting on this political division, it was actively making it worse. And all of this leads to what the book calls a mediatized conflict. This is a huge idea. It means the fight wasn't just happening on TV anymore. The media itself had become a battleground. Each political side used its own allied media outlets not to inform people, but to attack the other side, to score political points, and to cement the division. The media wasn't an observer. It was a soldier in the conflict.
So, we've looked at the theory, we've looked at a real-world example. Let's zoom out. Why is any of this important for us, as people who are just trying to figure out what's going on in the world?
Okay, let's boil it all down. Takeaway number one: throw out that idea of the media as a neutral mirror. It is always an active player shaping our reality. 2. The theory of mediatization gives us a name and a framework for understanding how that power works. 3. Context is everything. As the book shows us, the media plays a completely different role depending on the political system it's in. And finally, knowing all this is what turns us from passive consumers of news into active, critical thinkers.
So, I'll leave you with this. The next time you see a headline or watch a news report, challenge yourself to ask a different kind of question. Don't just stop at what happened. Go deeper. Use these tools we've talked about and ask the much more powerful question: who profits from me believing this specific version of what happened? I promise you, asking that changes everything.